Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so if I sound a little winded, I just knocked down a couple push-ups, you know, trying to keep my body right. But I did want to come here with this perspective because listening to people talk about Kevin Durant and the fact that him leaving the Nets is a weak move. Saw the Post, New York Post, I believe it was to be exact, or was it another one of the New York publications, essentially put something up saying thin man has no heart. You know, that's New York culture. You know how they're gonna do. When they feel spited, you're gonna see it in the paper. So it's one of those situations where I'm wondering if that's actually fair, the whole criticism that he's receiving right now. Well, is it fully fair? Of course, he does have to take some accountability for his part in everything that's going on there, just like everybody else does, of course. But is he somebody who should be considered someone who's doing the wrong thing in leaving the Nets situation right now? I don't believe so. I don't. Now, if you want to say it's his fault for bringing Kyrie to them, I don't know that. I don't know that. That story is not clear in my head. I don't have the information to effectively tell you guys who brought who where. But what I do know is Kyrie's the Nets fan. Kyrie's from New York. So logic tells me that it's Kyrie's probably doing in terms of let's get to the Nets, let's go to my home team, and let's get this done. So in my speculation, Kyrie's leading the way. So blaming KD for why Kyrie is doing what he's doing is ridiculous in many ways in my mind. He's not responsible for another man. He's not responsible for a fellow employee. He's not responsible for his friend. The various hats that Kyrie wears, none of those is KD responsible for. Like, he's not responsible for that man. Now, if he decides to hitch the wagon on with Kyrie and whatever he's doing, if he chooses to back his friend's play, that's a choice that he's gonna have to live with the consequences of, which is how we find ourselves in a situation where he's getting blamed like this. That's what comes with that. But looking at Kevin Durant's situation specifically, I don't think he has a year to experiment. I think this needs to be a championship caliber year for him. I think that with all the things that he has going on with his legacy and the words that are going on in regards to that, it would be in his best interest to find a good basketball fit and then get back in a position of strength to be able to respond to these critics, as he wants to do, I'm sure. You know, he's the type of guy, to me, it seems like he wants to respond. So if he's not on a good enough team to respond properly, then the response itself ain't gonna hit. Yeah, he can go out there and score 30, 40, whatever, but his team's still losing. He's not shutting anybody up. In order for him to get to a situation where he can be himself, in my opinion, he's gonna have to get into a more secure, stable environment. That's my opinion in regards to KD. He's got to get somewhere where somebody's focused. That's why I kind of wanted to go to Portland, because he can go team up with Dame, and Dame gonna fill him on his mission, on what it is he needs to do. Dame ain't gonna really, you know, it's not gonna be nothing but business up there, and they're gonna get it. I believe they would have a great opportunity at getting it done based on the culture that's already established. I think KD, in picking the Miami Heat, trying to find a place that has established culture, and picking the Golden State Warriors, it seems like he's looking for a place that has an established culture. Well, I kind of look at certain other situations and maybe he's not considering and say that is too also part of that for him. So the moral of the story is the Nets don't have that culture. They're not going to provide that culture this upcoming season. So him staying there trying to prove a point that he can be accountable for whatever it is you guys feel he should be accountable for or what have you, doesn't necessarily benefit him at all in the limited time that he has left to play basketball in the NBA. The limited time he has left to be at a star level with his body, you know, aging as it naturally does, and the Achilles injury that I always bring up, you know, that we're not going to forget about. So he doesn't have time to be wasting years trying to prove magical points to people who are going to criticize him either way. Whether he stays with the Nets and doesn't succeed, they'll kill him for that. If he leaves and goes somewhere else, regardless of how that outcome goes, they'll kill him for leaving the Nets. So if it's damn if you do, damn if you don't, then you shouldn't be damned at all, if you ask me. not by the public. If we know the conundrum you're in, if anything, we should, in my mind, either support you if we're taking the position to support you, or stand to the side and watch you in your situation. But one thing that I won't do is look at somebody who doesn't have no choice and condemn them for whatever decision they're forced to make. And in my mind, it looks like KD doesn't have a choice. If he wants to avoid criticism, there is no way to do so. That's basically what I'm saying. So, being as it is, and I often see the narratives tend to have these types of paths for their subjects. I understand that these narratives are toxic and don't need to be subscribed to here. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm not entertained by them or by the people who are speaking on them, but at the end of the day, I realize that they're not going to leave KD no way to be successful. He has to stay with the Nets and win a championship without enough to win a championship in order to get their respect. He's got to stay there with less and win, which literally is not possible. So as far as I can tell, KD can just give y'all the finger and keep doing exactly what he's doing. Look for whatever it is that he wants to find. You know what I mean? With the 4-year contract and without an escape clause, it's going to be kind of tough for him to find the leverage that a normal situation superstar like him would have. But for some reason or another, I just feel like that's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. Because what leverage actually is, to me, it seems like in the NBA, is not necessarily the leverage that the players have between themselves and the entities they're doing business with, but more so the leverage of the entire players union versus the entire association itself. So that's how I view it. So it's like, even though Kyrie and KD don't necessarily have leverage, in the grand scheme of things, when you consider that the players are a union themselves, they're going to move in unison to make sure that their interests are met. So that could be a problem in other areas if they don't somewhat acquiesce to what KD and Kyrie are doing here. It could be a bigger headache for the greater good, I guess you could say. So that's why you might still see them get what it is that they want despite not having leverage, because it's still superstars. So and top it all off, it really benefits the NBA greatly, as I mentioned many times yesterday, for all of this to take place, the negativity, the narratives without and out for the subject, all of that, and then ultimately teasing of sending superstars to big places and ultimately making that happen. It's all a money tree for the league. And in the grand scheme of things, the benefit goes to the players as well. They're able to get the $260 million contracts because of moves like this made that garnered attention and revenue and so on and so forth. So listening to Draymond Green talk about, the new media and the balance, for us to be reminded that the old media itself still provides a great deal of revenue garnering attention that ultimately puts the NBA in an advantageous position to do whatever it is that they're doing lucratively as they are. So the narratives are necessary so long as we, the consumer, can differentiate between what we need to believe and what we don't, and then don't carry that forth in treating the players like the pundits treat them with these narratives that give them no out. That's where it becomes a disconnect for me, because it's like, now that people are taking the information and they have opinions about human beings that are based on these narratives that are only in place to garner numbers and attention. It's like that leaves you thinking bad thoughts about a person that you don't know for reasons that aren't real. And that's why I look at that as very toxic. Despite being a benefit to the players and the association and the pundits themselves and the corporations above them, it benefits everybody until one of these crazy fans start acting up against a fan, or till you start having malice at the palace type situations, because fans truly, with their heart of hearts, love their team and will look at a player who you've attached all this negative stuff to and won't be able to separate the two. You know what I mean? It's enough people out there that we know exist with that type of mental illness to not be irresponsible with this type of thing. So that's why I think we need to evolve in that way. Evolve in that way. See the fruit and evolve in that way. Even though so many benefit from it. Practically everybody. So I see that clearer picture. I look at that and I understand that these narratives sometimes are agreed upon by the subjects themselves, even though it leaves them no out. However, KD particularly and Kyrie, they have not shown a solidarity with these narratives. I don't think they take it in the way Bron appears to take it in. Bron sees the bigger picture. That's why you never see him respond to Skip Bayless. You never see him respond to any of those guys that have his name in their mouth every day. Because he gets it fully. And he understands that a lot of his money is based on the fact that they be talking all that negative stuff about him. It does translate. Majorly. So because he understands that, he ain't never going to get on Skip Bayless about nothing. Never. Never, ever, ever. No matter how many times Skip Bayless does whatever, we know that at the end of the day, it's a net positive for everybody. And so that's why it's like, all right, well, as a consumer, we got that truth in our minds, and we also understand that these narratives can send us in the wrong direction in regards to what it is we may want for our teams, how we treat the players that we may see in real life or at the games, and to control our minds when we're in the presence of these people. Because at the end of the day, these narratives are put in place to sway us in one direction or another so that we spend our dollars one way or another. So enjoy the entertainment, but, you know, still be a human being. That's what I try to be. Still root for guys to succeed. Still root for guys to be in good situations. So on and so forth. Still root for guys to not be caught between a rock and a hard place when these narratives are not something that they vibe with, so to speak. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm gathering. That's the truth I have in my head. And that's what I share with you guys, man. Hopefully KD can find a situation that makes him happy. I think he's given enough, sacrificing however this actually is. You can clearly see he's given enough to where he just would like to be in a situation where he's playing basketball at a high level once again, like he did in Golden State. Leaving Golden State, I didn't think that was the greatest decision, but again, if you think there's a greater good that's making pieces move around, you can never be certain who's actually controlling what. And I always leave room for that, even though I analyze these things as if they're fact. Sometimes, just like I said in my video yesterday, I think it has nothing to do with the players a lot of times. These guys, hey, look, you're going here, and we're putting you together. We're going to have the narratives, it's going to be all that, but you're also going to be a billionaire, so just live it out. And I think there's a good chance that that's what's going on as well in a lot of situations. So, you know, maybe the guys itself is to make us think the players have more power than they do, when in reality, maybe that leverage is more so being a struggle for behind the scenes. Well, we definitely know it is. So it is what it is, man. It's definitely a power struggle. And guys like KD just have to seize the moment that they have to play basketball. At the end of the day, time equity is probably the most important for a guy like that. He's made his money. If he has control over where he goes, I'm pretty sure he's going to choose a situation that best benefit him, redundantly speaking. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, stop believing these stupid narratives. That's the moral of my entire point. Hear them, be entertained by them, but stop buying them, especially as it pertains to the character flaws of a man or a woman that you have not met. Because they speak as if certain things are facts that they are suggesting a lot of times. And then they will hang their hat on those suggestions as facts, and people do that as well. I listen to them do this every day. Well, you know, he wanted to do this, and he said, no, he never said anything. You're embellishing the truth in such a way that makes it seem as if that's a fact, and it's an important part because it does sway what we think of the person. But he never said that to us. We heard you say he said that, and you said you got that from somebody else who told you something that you are not telling us who that person is. Sources. And so I trust that your integrity amongst your peers is going to remain on point based on the nature of what it is your environment is. You ain't about to put your credibility on the line by using fake sources. But what I will say is that leaves the room for the possibility of such to be taken advantage of. And because we don't know who the hell these damn sources are, you guys can pull these sources out of your backside and give us whatever you want us to have. I know this because I've been watching and studying just like everybody else has all their lives. And at this point in time, I see how it plays out for the players. And sometimes, like I said, if they don't understand or vibe with these narratives, if they don't have the skin for that, it really does do harm, and it does really ultimately affect the product we see on the floor. So that is the point. That's all I gotta say. Hopefully I was able to resonate with somebody. My name is BDL44. Thank you all for watching.